Hey guys, what is going on? It's me, BakuriBox12 here, and welcome back to another Realm of the Mad God video. The Mad Scientist Sorcerer set is seen as a pretty good one. Conducting Wand has some very nice DPS, Fulmy slows enemies, which is incredibly useful, and Expo is a very well-rounded ring. But the Robe of the Mad Scientist, has always been a sore spot for me. This thing really has no business being a UT. A white bag, no less. If I'm not mistaken, the whole purpose of UTs are to be gimmicky alterations of tiered items. Bows typically have 2 or 3 shots and are very fast, but the Doom Bow has outrageous damage for a slower rate of fire and a single shot. It's a trade-off. It gives you the chance to experience a different playstyle for a character. It's not necessarily better or worse, it's just different. But the Mad Lab Robe is almost one-to-one the Robe of the Grand Sorcerer. They both give 55 MP, 4 attack, and 13 defense. The only differences are 1 less wisdom at 5, and 2 vit, which unfortunately is seen as the least effective stat in the game because pets exist. Not to mention, there are tons of priests and paladins healing you all the time. Vitality, unfortunately, is that stat that you max and forget about, because you rarely ever get to see its effects. Only if you're pet stasist and all of the healing classes around you have been silenced or quieted will you actually watch your health regenerate on its own. And it's sad but true. So there is virtually no reason why you would ever want to wear the Robe of the Mad Scientist over G-Sorc. And even if it did give you the same stats plus all that vitality, it's still way too similar to an item that already exists, that you can trade for, mind you, and still have it drop in a white bag, and tease you every time you walk over to see if it's a Fulmy and it's not. So, I propose a rework. Aside from the robe, this whole set is pretty much fine, but we do have to ask ourselves, what is this set's focus? Conducting Wand provides a higher rate of fire and sacrifices utility, less range, doesn't pierce, but the DPS is higher. It also gives you 4 dexterity to complement that higher rate of fire, and 4 wisdom to increase the regeneration and damage of your ability and not your weapon. Scepter of Fulmination slows enemies for less damage. Also wouldn't change that. Great item. But it gives you 2 attack and 2 wisdom. The wisdom makes sense because we were just getting that from conducting, but the attack is a newcomer. So I propose that we take away that 2 attack and exchange it for 2 dexterity to match it better. 2 wisdom can stay, and then tack on 2 vitality. As I said, we can be very loose with how much we add because it's pretty hard to make it effective. Then for the Robe of the Mad Scientist, I want to do a similar thing. Take away the 4 attack, make it 4 dex, further capitalizing on that rate of fire. Then take the 2 vitality and crank it up to 8. 8 vit. Why not? 8 plus 2, now we're getting 10, plus the 4 from Expo, 14 vitality. Still probably not going to notice it, but at least it's better than before. Same thing with wisdom. We have 5 here, dial it up to 8. You do have to be careful when adding a bunch of wisdom to a sorcerer because it can make it a little too good, and again, we don't want it to become similar to the other robes that exist, but the only ones that match this are the Shendyt of Geb, which has 7 wisdom, but that item has its own thing going on with high defense, a little bit of health and mana, wisdom and vitality. It's its own thing. Robe of Tlatoani is the only thing that rivals it at 8 wisdom, and that's a forbidden jungle item that isn't that good, so we don't have to be concerned about outclassing that sort of item. And things like Tlatoani's Shroud and the Ritual Robe beat it out anyway, so we don't have to worry about that. So while we may have lost some attack for a bit of a higher rate of fire, our ability is going to deal more damage by default, and will also regenerate a bit faster, as will our health. If this robe now suddenly feels too good, having more mana and defense than the Ritual Robe, and about half the wisdom, then all you have to do is lower its MP down to something like 40, and the defense anywhere from 8 to 12. Those numbers can of course be adjusted up or down as need be. And lastly, the experimental ring can remain the same, it's pretty good as is. 60 HP and MP, 4 defense, 4 vitality. In my opinion, you could probably beef up the vit to something like 6, just because again, it's not a very broken stat, and that would further complement the vitality boost of the other pieces. But that's a maybe. If these changes were to be implemented, or something loosely based on it, I think it would improve this set tremendously, and specifically would make the Robe of the Mad Scientist an actual worthy UT to be in a white bag. Those are my 2 cents on the topic. Let me know what you think about the Mad Scientist set, if you agree with my thoughts, if you think it's fine as is, or if you have some ideas of your own that I didn't cover, fire away. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, don't forget to check out the next episode whenever I post it, which will probably be soon. Alright. See ya.